Good morning. Today is the 18th of April 2024 and I'm going to go through some of my trading levels for today. Before we start, let's take a look at the news and see what could be moving the market today. We've got Fed speaking now and at 9:15, so two Fed speakers before the market's open. We had initial jobless claims, which kind of saw a bit of reaction but hasn't really moved a great deal. Putting in a bit of a green print right now, and then later on we've got, I think that's it, yeah, another Fed speaker at 11, so just keep an eye on these times. Okay, so levels, so this is a swing trade I was looking to take, quite like it breaking out OSCR on the daily with a buy setup. Anyway, not quite sure about that. Going into the ES levels, pretty much using the same levels we've been watching the last few days. Let's open up my pen. One of the levels I do like was the rejection, but we've already had that already today. I kind of quite like it rejecting from this area here, and the pre-market we came in and rejected that area, so 50.86. So I'm going to watch that for a higher risk rejection because we've already rejected it twice in the pre-market, or once yesterday I meant, and once here in the pre-market. So watching 50.80 to 50.86 for rejection. Potentially we could be putting in a double top, this kind of pattern potentially. If we do break that area 50.86 to 50.90, then potentially we can be watching for a long, basically watch the pre-market high break and retest long. One thing I want to watch for, we didn't quite get there yesterday, is the SPX 5,000 level. Came very close. Maybe that is the bottom, who knows. But if we get down to 5,000, I've got an alert set up as well, just before that. Then I want to try and find a long play on the ES, and that area is probably equivalent of around 50-50 area on the ES. So I'm kind of looking for a bounce at 50-50. I'm just going to draw the level in. Basically yesterday's low, watching for a bounce. Let's move my alert, and that should coincide possibly where the SPX is at 5,000 as well. So that's my higher probability trade for today. What I'm really watching is the bounce coming down into yesterday's low. If we see a bit of a rally, got to get over pre-market high, we should be in a break and retest long. But I'm kind of watching yesterday's high and this area up here as resistance for a potential rejection, 51.22 reject. So kind of watching that area. And then we've got one more rejection area as well. Let's just zoom out a bit. And it's going to be around about here. It's an area of confidence, bottom of Friday's low, bottom pivots, we've got bottoms, 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 and tops. Area of confidence there as well. So that level is 51.50. We talked about this level yesterday as well. So kind of watching for a rejection at 51.50, a break and retest long at 51.20, 51.25, or a rejection at that area. Kind of a higher risk rejection at the pre-market high area, and that is 50.86, or a break and retest long, or I'm looking for a bounce down here at 50.50. They're basically the levels I'm watching, so let's just quickly draw them in. So 50.50 level, 50.86 to 50.90 level for a reject or break and retest. Just remember, every time we've come into the 50 in the last few times, we've rejected it. So potentially we may see a rejection. That's why I quite like the rejection at that point. I'm watching this area of resistance, 51.20, 51.22 area, and I'm watching this area here, 51.50 for a rejection as well. So these are the 4 levels I'm really watching, cover them. And obviously if we break down below 50.50, we're going to SPY in a minute, but there's a bit of a gap down to fill on SPY, so potentially that could be a gap fill. So moving over to SPY, so I've got the regular trading hours enabled. You can switch between extended and regular on here. You can see we've got this gap, we're kind of midway into this gap fill. So we've got this gap to fill here, and so I kind of got 497, 498 area as a bounce area on SPY. So if we can pull right down into that gap, if we can fill the gap, then I'm looking for a bounce, which hopefully that may coincide with the SPX 5000 level as well. That's the only bounce I'm watching down here. I'm looking for a bounce 499, 500 level. Looking for a bounce down at that level as well. So that is a psychological number. If we rally a bit like ES, I quite like 503 to 504 for a rejection, or even a break and retest long. But bear in mind, longs are going against the trend. And then we've got this area, we've got 2 areas actually, which I'm going to draw the second one in as well. So we've got this 508 to 509 rejection area, decent area, lots of touches of the trend line. Got bottoms of candles, bottoms, 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 and tops here, some tops and some tops. So ceilings and floors, big area of confluence. So I do quite like this area for a rejection, 508 to 509. Also I quite like yesterday's high for rejection area, 506 area really. Let's just move that up a little bit. 506.20, 5 to 505.50, that area for rejection. And that's it, very similar to ES. Looking at Qs or Nasdaq next. Kind of right down, we filled the gap yesterday I believe. Let's go into regular trading hours. So this gap fill, we're kind of down here now. We filled the gap on QQQs and Nasdaq. We're right in this area of demand right now. Last time we're down that area, had a big reaction. So potentially looking for a bounce. If we break below this green demand zone, below 17,600, then this is invalidated, and then we got the next area to watch. So we can watch 17,500 for a bounce, this area here. If we break down, otherwise we can look for some sort of reversal pattern in this demand zone. So we may just see it go sideways for a bit, maybe put in a double bottom before breaking out. Zooming in a bit. This is the hourly. I'm assuming the pre-market low. We're coming to the dailies in a second. Hourly. Because I got regular. I was like, where's my pre-market gone? Here we go, that's better. So NQ, so back onto pre-market, so we can watch for a break and retest of the pre-market high. And bear in mind, we'll be going against the trend and into this 50 moving average. Last time we touched it, we had a big reaction down. Last time we touched it, a big reaction down. So, you know, you can't say it's not setting up dissimilar to what we saw here. Went sideways for a day, goes sideways for a day, and as we kind of eat time off the clock and we move into this 50, we could see another reaction down. So just bear that in mind. So levels similar to SPY and ES, kind of like 1880 for rejection off of this area of resistance. And by the time we get up there, potentially this 200 moving average would have caught up as well. That's quite a big arrow. So kind of a rejection off of 1880. break and retest long of pre-market high, and then we've got this level as well, potential area resistance at 17,950. Let's just zoom out and see where that is to the left. Okay, so it's a few areas, tops and tops, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, probably 18,000 will be an area to watch as well, but we've only had one, surprisingly, even though it's a nice psychological number, we've only had one touch of 18,000, so that's why I prefer 18,082 up here. So that's really it for NQ. QQQ, exactly the same. Kind of like this area for rejection. We rejected it yesterday. So yesterday's high through to 432 for 434 rejection. Kind of quite like this area. You can see all these areas of confluence, tops and bottoms of candles. So it's more of a zone area than a line, because we've got quite a big area there. So we can watch that area for rejection. Bounce wise, bottom of this demand zone. I've not drawn it in, but if I were to draw it in, that's our demand zone there. So we can watch that area for a bounce. 423.20 for a bounce, kind of what we've got already drawn in. And then break and retest off yesterday's low. So this is regular trading hours. Let's go back into pre-market. Kind of like that resistance area there, 430 for rejection, and then 433 for rejection. That's it. Again, against the trend, one thing I do want to do is draw in this trend line. So we've got the trend lines drawn in, so we can watch for a break of that if we were looking for a long position, especially as we talked about the Nasdaq looking to go long. Should really probably draw some trend lines in there as well. Kind of got those two. You can see it as you draw the trends in. And the first, okay, let's do it properly. It's from there. So you can see that trend line there, and you can see the fan going from a steady decline, a larger incline, a massive incline. So maybe, and you can probably draw the trend line in again, see it fanning down. Probably draw that one in as well. And they're getting steeper and steeper, these slopes, which potentially could be showing more and more momentum onto the downside. I'll keep them in for now. If we break the trend line, then we can look for a long. So that's kind of the trend line we're watching, this local one. SPX, talked about that. We're watching 5,000. Gold. Kind of in that range still. Are we putting in a bit of a wedge pattern potentially? We can wait for it to break out of this area and then pick a direction. We're in the upper end of this wedge right now, pushing up. So we can watch it for a break, retest, long. So 22, probably the break and retest of the yesterday's high, pre-market high, and that will be around 2400, 2403 bounce, or rejection down here. We can find those figures near the time. But if it breaks down, watch it for a break, come back in to retest yesterday's low, and then reject down. But we're in an uptrend at the moment, big uptrend. We're above the 200 moving average as well on the hourly, so looking pretty bullish. So probably the break and retest long is probably the move to watch for. Oil, let's just draw in a box. So we've got this area here. This is like an area of distribution. You see the two extremes. So it's the end of a trend, pull down, big volume, so kind of showing the end of the trend here. And you can see exactly the distribution. Kind of taking over the bottom half of this box, and the fake breakout and instant rejection, and then we came back down. You can see weren't able to put in a new high, come in, and then we broke down. So when you draw it out like that, it's quite obvious. So as for a play at an hourly level, if we get back up into this area up here, we can look for a rejection. So kind of like 84, reject, and that'd be the break and the big retest if you put that on the 4 hour or the daily. Look at that, interesting. On the 4 hour we kind of touched the 200, so kind of still quite like it up there. Look at the daily. We've got this daily bounce area at 70, basically $80, and you can see that big area of confluence, 50 moving average, bottoms of candles, tops of candles, bottoms, bottoms, tops, tops, a big area. So this is the area to watch for a potential bounce. Oh, let's turn magnet off. So we can watch this area for a bounce when we get into it. We'll, maybe not today. Let's go back down to the hourly. We're not far off it. So $80 for a bounce, and then a rejection at 84. These are the only two areas really to watch for. Potentially a break and retest of pre-market high, but it's against this smaller trend we're in at the moment. RTY is in a downtrend. Let's just do that. Still in a downtrend until it breaks that trend, putting in this double bottom, yesterday's low. So potentially we can watch for a breakout of the pre-market high and a retest, and then long. But it's got to be a break and retest pre-market high because we've got to get above this 50 moving average. That's the only long I can see. Otherwise we can watch yesterday's high, this area. Let's look for a rejection area. Here. So looking at bottoms, candles, consolidation and volume on the profile, and just happens to line up with the bottom of that candle, so it just shows that levels are good to watch. So rejection at 2011, that's the only place really. Okay, next up is YM, or the Dow Jones. Again, you can see we put in this double bottom. Let's draw the trend line in. It's broken that trend, but we need it to break up over this pivot. So if it can get over 38 to 36, or what's that, yesterday's high, then we look for a break and retest, long, break, retest of this area long, and we've got a target, quite a clear target. This area of confluence, 38,600, the 200 moving average, 200 moving average coming in there, tops of candle, bottoms of candles. So break and retest of pre-market high, yesterday's high, or we can look for the breakdown below 37,838, break and retest short. And then finally we look at Bitcoin, doing its Bitcoin stuff. Can't get any more bearish than that at the moment. Decline in top, kind of had that pattern, we've broken down through it, came down, came back up, retested it, and then broke down again. The only place I can watch really for a test, was that previous all-time highs? No, I'm not even watching that. It's got to be down at 54,000, this area for a bounce. You know, maybe there could be something there at 58. Let's just mark it anyway. But I can see it coming down to 53, 54, 52 area for a bounce. I like to use more recent levels. You can see we held it for a while before breaking out. Okay, so let's quickly look at ES, see what's happening in the last few minutes. Not a great deal, so just to recap the levels on ES today, and then it's done. Market opens in 7 minutes. We're going to watch for a double bottom down here at 50.50 for a bounce. We're waiting for a potential rejection off of this resistance area, and the 50 around 50.86 to 50.88. If we can't reject it, then we can watch for a break and retest long. And we've got yesterday's high as potential target, and there's also another area of resistance up here as well at 51.22. So watch for a rejection around there or a target. And then finally we've got the bigger resistance area down at 51.50. You can see it's big area of confidence as well. Bottom of the pivot from Friday as well. So they're the levels. That's all I'm watching. Okay. Hopefully you like this. Don't forget to hit the like button. Helps the YouTube algos. And up next will be the live order flow, so just stay tuned in, or I will post the link in the YouTube channel in a few minutes. Okay, thank you for watching.